Have you ever heard a sound that just doesn't belong? A noise so out of place, it makes the hair on your arms stand up? For one old farmhouse, that sound was the tick of a clock. A clock that hadn't made a sound since 1993. They say it fell silent the very night Henry Cole passed away. But last winter, something changed. When Henry's daughter, Lydia, moved back into that creaking, forgotten house, the silence was broken. It started again. One slow, uneven tick. A rhythm that was just off, with every hour stretching a second too long. And that very night, the first neighbor passed away in their sleep. The Cole farmhouse is perched right on the edge of the Snake River Valley. It's the kind of place where the wind whistling through the plains speaks louder than any person ever could. The walls are made of old pine, and the paint is peeling off in flakes like delicate, aged paper. Time has worn everything down, except for one thing. Hanging in the hallway is a large brass pendulum clock, a relic built way back in 1898. Its glass face is cracked, but for 30 years, its hands remained frozen in time, marking the moment of Henry's death. His daughter, Lydia Cole, came back in 2023. She had plans to fix the place up, maybe breathe some new life into its old bones. The clock, to her, was just a piece of furniture, a silent monument to a memory. That is, until the third night she was there. Lying in the quiet dark, she heard it. A single distinct tick. Then another. It was the sound of something remembering how to live, or perhaps remembering something else entirely. Lydia was baffled. She went to the clock, her footsteps echoing in the empty hall. She opened the back panel, expecting to find the source of the impossible sound. But the mechanism inside was a mess of rusted, broken metal. There were no intact gears, nothing that could possibly make it work. And yet, it ticked. The sound was all wrong. It wasn't the steady, comforting beat of a normal clock. It was slower, uneven, like a heart struggling, missing a beat here and there. Instinctively, she pulled out her phone and tried to record it, to capture this bizarre phenomenon. But when she played the audio back, it was distorted, warped. And underneath the strange ticking, a new sound emerged, a faint, chilling whisper that sounded disturbingly like her father's name. The next morning brought even more dread. A neighbor, the kind old man who used to bring her family fresh eggs every Sunday, was found to have passed away in his sleep. In his hand, he was clutching a watch. It had stopped at exactly 1:14 a.m., the very same time the farmhouse clock had struck its single, solitary chime. As the days turned into a week, a terrifying pattern began to emerge. Every time the old clock's ticking seemed to speed up, someone in the small, tight-knit community would fall gravely ill or, even more unsettling, simply vanish from their homes, passing away quietly in their sleep. No one in town spoke about it directly. It was too strange, too frightening. But you could see it in their eyes, in the way they'd glance nervously at the Cole farmhouse. Everyone noticed. Lydia, growing more desperate, decided to take matters into her own hands. She carefully removed the heavy brass pendulum from the clock, wrapped it tightly in an old cloth, and buried it deep in the backyard, hoping to silence it for good. But that night, the sound returned. Only this time, it wasn't coming from the wall. The ticking was coming from right under her feet, from beneath the floorboards. With trembling hands, she pried up the wooden planks. There was nothing there, just dust and a single, inexplicable footprint leading from the hole in the floor directly toward the clock on the wall. Her eyes shot up to its cracked face. The hands, once frozen, now pointed to 11:59, and the ticking grew louder, more insistent, counting down to something awful. Driven by a mix of fear and a desperate need for answers, Lydia started digging through her father's old belongings. Tucked away in a dusty box of records, she found a small, yellowed note. It was in her father's familiar handwriting, a hurried scrawl that read, "It's not keeping time. It's keeping count." Keeping count of what? The words sent a shiver down her spine. She sought out the local historian, an elderly woman who knew every story the valley held. The historian told her about the clock's creator, a master craftsman named Wilhelm Kruger. He was a brilliant watchmaker who had suffered an unimaginable tragedy, losing his entire family in a house fire. Consumed by grief, Kruger claimed he had built a final masterpiece, a way to mark the exact moment a soul departs. His last known work, a grand pendulum clock, was sold to a collector in Idaho back in 1901. It ended up in the very same farmhouse that Henry Cole would buy half a century later. That night, exhausted and terrified, Lydia fell into a restless sleep, the ticking a constant, maddening drumbeat. But then she woke up. The house was utterly silent. The ticking had stopped. And then, a sound she hadn't heard before a single final chime rang through the house. The clock didn't strike 12. It struck 13 times. A deep, resonant chime for each count. When the final echo faded, a minute hand on the clock's face, which had been inching toward midnight, began to move backward. In the morning, the town sheriff, responding to a call from a worried neighbor, entered the silent farmhouse. He found Lydia's phone lying on the kitchen table. It was still recording. On the audio, you could hear the 13 chimes, the profound silence that followed, and then Lydia's own voice, a calm and steady whisper saying, "It's not broken anymore. It's right on time." No one ever found Lydia Cole, and no one ever found the clock again. All that was left was a scorched, blackened patch of wood on the hallway wall where it used to hang. The story should have ended there. But even now, every few months, when the wind howls just right through the Snake River Valley, someone in town swears they can hear it, carried faintly on the breeze. A single metallic tick, counting something that hasn't ended yet. Some clocks aren't built to measure hours. They're built to measure who's next. Thanks for joining me on this chilling tale. If you enjoy stories that linger in the shadows, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more mysteries. We'll see you in the next one.